All right, let's try one more example. So graphing quadratic functions, we have an equation p of x equals 1/4 x squared plus 2x plus 7. And so let's do the easy stuff first again. So let's do the y-intercept, 7, right? Easy. So 0, comma 7. Boom. Let's plot it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so there's our y-intercept. And so then the whether it opens up or down, straightforward, right? Is A positive or is it negative? In this case, it's positive 1/4. And so no, just label here A, B, and C. And so, so it opens up. Okay. Now, if it opens up, remember that means we're going to have a minimum, right? Because it's going to be facing this way, and so we'll have a bottom of the valley, right? It'll be a valley shape, and so we're going to have a minimum. All right. So let's see, what is that minimum value going to be? We can find the vertex to indicate that, but let's first find the axis or line of symmetry, which is x equals negative b over 2a, right? And so I'm going to say x equals negative b, so that negative is built in. B is positive 2 in this case, over 2 times a, which is 1/4, right? So you can convert that to a decimal if you want. I'll keep it as a fraction. And so we're going to end up with negative 2, and 2 times a fourth is 1/2. So we'll end up with negative 2 divided by a half, which is the same as negative 2 times the reciprocal of a half, which is 2 over 1, right? So we'll get negative 4. So remember, anytime you divide by half is the same as doubling it, right? Multiplying by 2. And so our line of symmetry or axis of symmetry is x equals negative 4. All right, which helps us out with the vertex. Right now we can go up here, we can say, okay, well, that's going to give us our x coordinate of the vertex, and now we can find f of negative 4 to find our y value, right? So our output when our input is negative 4. So I'm going to do 1/4 times negative 4 squared plus 2 times negative 4 plus 7. Okay, all right, and so basically what I'll get, you don't have to show all this work, you can plug it in your calculator, but I'll get 1/4 times 16, which is of course 4, and it'll be positive 16 because I am squaring the negative here. And then 2 times negative 4 is negative 8 plus 7, right? So I get basically 4 minus 8 plus 7. So that's negative 4 plus 7, which is 3. So this comes out to 3. So negative 4 comma 3 is our vertex. So let's plot that. So negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the x-axis, and 3, 1, 2, 3 on the y. So right there. Okay, and we know this opens up, so we kind of see it's going to go that way towards the y-intercept. So that's consistent with what we have going on. And so what we just found for our vertex, that is our minimum value, right? So we have a minimum at negative 4, 3. Okay. All right, so now for the x-intercepts. So let's use the quadratic formula for this one. So it's going to be x equals negative b, so b is 2, plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is a fourth, times c, which is 7, yeah, all over 2 times a. All right, so go ahead and work that out. All right, so I did what's underneath the radical, and I got negative 3. So what does that mean? That means we're going to have an imaginary value, right? When we take the square root of negative 3, pop an I out, and so we're going to have I root 3. And so that's imaginary, right? Where do we put that on the graph? There's no place for it, right? That's why it's an imaginary number. And so that's why we call it an imaginary number. So we don't have x-intercepts that we can plot, right? So we have no real solution here, right? Okay, and so we don't have anywhere anything to plot on the x-axis, right? And so there are no x-intercepts here. So no x-intercepts, right? And so I'm just going to put none here, right? Now, how would we have known that just by with the information that we already had? Well, we already mentioned that our minimum is at -4, 3, right? So if that's our minimum, we're not going to go below 3 on the y-axis. So therefore, yeah, we're not going to cross, right? We know that we're going up from here, right? And so, yeah, we're not going to have a minimum in this case, or excuse me, we're not going to have any x-intercepts in this case. All right, so you can kind of bypass this step here of you doing the quadratic formula if you can recognize that, oh, I have a minimum that's above the y-axis, or conversely, if you have a maximum that's below the x-axis, right? Okay, all right, so now we only have 2 points here. It's asking for a 5th point. Now we can easily find a 3rd point by just mirroring the y-intercept across the axis of symmetry, right? So here's the axis of symmetry. X equals -4, that vertical line there. So we can mirror this across. So let's see, we have all right, 4 units that side, so we're gonna go 4 units this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. Okay, so that the coordinates of that point are -8, 7, right? All right, so if we do have to graph 5 points, if the which I don't know, the directions there's no directions here, but if it said graph at least 5 points, since we don't have the intercepts, we could graph another point, right? So we could plug in any of these numbers out. I would say, plug in something easy, or maybe even something over here, like plugging in 1 would be pretty easy, right? Or maybe -1. So it's up to you. You can choose what you want. Here, since we have a 4th, you could pick a multiple of 2, and when you square it, it would be 4. So let's do that. Let's pick 2. So to find another point, I'm going to find 2 comma something. So I'm going to find f of 2, which would be 1/4 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 7, right? And so that would be 1/4 times 4, which would be 1, plus 2 times 2, which is 4. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12, right? So that's actually off the grid. So 2 comma 12, and so I'll still graph it. So 2, and then I'm going to go up just a little higher, say about right there. Okay. So then we can go across the axis of symmetry to find the equivalent there. So let me use an orange color here. So I could go, let's see, so how far is 2 from -4 on the x-axis? That would be 6, right? So I'm going to go 6 the other direction. So 6 left of -4 is going to be -10, right? So it'll be somewhere about right there, okay? So I'll call the 5th point -10 comma 12. All right. Okay, so there's our 5 points, so we can graph this. All right, and I kind of missed a point there, but not anymore. All right, so anyway, little trick of the trade there. If you miss a point, just make the point a little bigger. So remember, your graphs don't have to be exactly perfect. In fact, it's, I want to say impossible, say near impossible, right, to get them perfect with, just with a human hand at least. So anyway, let me know what questions you have in class, or shoot them my way through email or Google Voice text. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in class.